Hello again, everyone. I'm going to show you a few more albums I've picked up in the last couple of weeks. And the first is ZZ Top's Rio Grande Mud, which was ZZ Top's second album. And the early ZZ Top albums are getting kind of hard to find. If you're trying to find these, you don't see them around very often anymore. My preference, ZZ Top, are the albums that are on London Records. I don't really care much for the albums on Warner Brothers or Wea that came out in the 80s. I think they're just kind of cartoon characters by that time. But the music on these ones are on the London Records I really enjoy. This album was given to me by my friend Mike, whose record collection you've seen a couple times in my videos. Kate Bush, The Kick Inside. It's Kate Bush's first album, and the Canadian copy has a different cover than the copy I think that came out in England, and I'm not sure how it came out in the States, but this is the Canadian copy. Now the next few albums I picked up from somebody at a yard sale that used to work in the record business back in the 70s, and they're promo copies. And the first is The Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl. It's definitely a promo copy. It's got the promo punch out in the corner. She used to work for Capitol Records in Calgary. She also worked for A&M. So this is an original promo copy of a Beatles album. Buckingham Nicks. The album that came out in 1973 prior to their joining Fleetwood Mac. And this was released in 1975 in Canada by Quality Records. In the States, I believe it was on Polygram or Polydor. This is a fantastic record. It is, in my mind, it is as good as the first two Fleetwood Mac albums with Buckingham and Nicks. It's got wonderful stuff on it. This album, I think, is more common in Canada than it is in the States. They sold a lot of these around the time of Rumors. It was available here for quite a few years, and I've seen a number of them around over the years. In the States, I think it sells for maybe $20 to $30, but in Canada, it's fairly common. This is a group from Sudbury, Ontario called Cano, Au Nord de Notre Vie. Sudbury is a very French, Canadian kind of town. Carole King, Welcome Home. This is a Carole King album that I knew I didn't have, and I have quite a few of her albums. You know, in the early 70s, when she released Tapestry, at one time it was the biggest selling album of all time. And as the 70s progressed, her albums sold, I think, less and less, and till we got towards the end of the 70s, and this one didn't sell very well at all. But in my mind, Carole King is one of the top 5 or 10 popular songwriters of all time. Just a tremendous songwriter. Hopefully there's something good on this. I don't think I've ever heard this album before. This fella here is her husband at the time. His name was Rick Evers. He died of a drug overdose just before this album was released, but they went ahead and there they are, holding hands out in the Colorado Rockies on their horses. And I don't know why Capitol, this is kind of creepy, I don't know why Capitol let them go ahead and put this album out like this with a cover like that, considering he just passed away, but it's kind of a career killer, I think. Tarney Spencer Band, Three's a Crowd. I remember this album, but I don't remember what the music was like. It's on A&M. Tommy Hen, Losing You to Sleep. This is too is a promo copy. I think this is categorized as power pop, although I've never heard this album. I remember the album though. He's looking a lot like Andrew Gold here in the back cover. Michelle Phillips, Victim of Romance. Michelle Phillips is Mama Michelle from the Mamas and Papas, mother of China Phillips from Wilson Phillips. It's her solo album from the 70s, produced by Jack Nitschke. Here's a great album. April Wine, Live at the El Macombo. This is probably from around 1975. The early April Wine albums here in Canada on Aquarius Records are excellent. just really excellent. And the later albums on Capitol in the 80s sound just like any other classic rock band. But these albums are really, really good. This is another April Wine album called Forever for Now. I think this is from about 75 or 76. 1976. This one you don't see very often. But it too was a great album. Eric Carmen, Boats Against the Current. And this is his second solo album after leaving the Raspberries. This one's sealed. Now, poor Eric Carmen, he doesn't get the credit that he should. The Raspberries are a fantastic band. I know Big Star has a lot of street credibility. Badfinger has a lot of street credibility. The Raspberries, somehow they don't get as much respect, and certainly Eric Carmen doesn't get the respect that he should, perhaps. I mean, there is some slush on some of these albums, but this is very much like a Pet Sounds area Beach Boys album. Some really good material on this. And the last one to show you is Santana Abraxas, a quadraphonic copy, which is kind of unusual. I do have a quad system. Thanks for watching.